Good morning, everyone here in the Western world, and also good evening in South Sudan. I would like to respond to the president national address that he did yesterday. The biggest thing that I saw, and many of you probably saw, especially the South Sudanese that are fully aware of what's happening in our country for the last, what, 10 years, 11 years since the conflict started. And also, for those that are not aware, I will be able to elaborate more so that you fully grasp what's happening in South Sudan, because a lot of us tend to easily go into this tribal mindset that has been hurting our nation for many years. Many of us have grew up in a household where this tribal mindset, although you agree with it, often you would just choose to not say anything. And also, some of us have gotten that tribal mindset from our parents, grandparents, wherever you at. And this is something that we really need to get rid of, because it's something that the leaders are using to blind us and also further their agenda to remain in power. So, my first response to the president address, and also I would like to ask the South Sudanese citizens, were you convinced that the president was genuinely telling us to calm down and has agenda in place for us to understand that he can handle what's happening in our country? For me, I was not convinced for many reasons. For the last couple of years or several years, I've had opportunity to be around many of our leaders. Some I actually personally saw or have conversation with. And then my biggest thing is that they tend to be more self-centered and also carry a narcissist mindset, that they fail to see the perspective of others or perspective of the citizens. This has been something that I've saw and observed in many of them. The president seems to be very selective on the crisis that he would like to respond to. He's more of a reactor, and it's not just only President Salva Kiir. The same thing with Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, and many of our leaders, including the politicians, the military personnel. They're more reactors than leaders that prevent things that can escalate into further conflict in our country. So there are many national crises that many citizens are aware of. First, the president has yet to address the effect of USAID being frozen by the executive order by President Trump. Knowing that USAID is the biggest donors in South Sudan, it has done many things, many great things in our country, especially those in the refugee camp. The USAID, also with the Department of State, has poured in millions and millions of dollars, US dollars, into humanitarian crisis, especially the medical care that is needed by those that are in IDP or consider IDP. Um, but yet the president has not put anything in place to prevent further humanitarian crisis in our country. For instance, we have seen that in Kakuma, they have gone 2 months now. There's no rations. Many families have not had anything for 2 months, especially food, water, or medical care. They pretty much kind of just brush that off as it's not a national crisis. I've stated in the previous video that I did that South Sudanese are in many camps in surrounding area in East African region, especially in Kenya, where Kakuma is. Also in Uganda, we have at least two camps there that largely have hosted South Sudanese citizens. Ethiopia has at least four. Sudan has refugee camps there also. A little bit South Sudanese are in Congo. And there might be many more that I have not mentioned. These are the things that the citizens are wanting to hear. The clashes between the SSPDF and the White Army, this is the result of failed leadership and failed management of things that are happening between the military personnel. And to be honest, the peace agreement is pretty much between the leaders themselves. This is their dispute. Citizens have nothing to do with it. This is them fighting themselves, fighting over positions, fighting over national resources. Citizens are left, they're trying their best to survive. Some are riding boda boda, some have tried to establish a business and also get killed in doing that out of jealousy and out of things that come with poverty. Because with poverty, there are so many negative things that comes with that. Some has tried to cultivate, and then there's cattle raiding, and they'll be killed while trying to cultivate farming. So these are the things that the citizens are yearning for. But with the peace agreement stagnant, and the leaders cannot work on their differences for the nation, citizens are still paying the price. Also, we have communal conflicts that the president has not addressed. This has been going on for many years now. President has said something probably 1 year or 2 years ago. He said he can only protect himself in Juba, cannot go outside of Juba. For those of you that are supporting these leaders or being loyal to these leaders just because of your bloodline or what type of relationship you have with them, you're not a nationalist. A nationalist has only one loyalty, and that's to the country. Another further escalation of crisis in our country is the looting of natural resources by these leaders and doing whatever they want with the distributions to their relatives. This has really drained us. So furthermore, leaders seems to be selective in what they react to in our country. They only react to things that threaten their power and threaten them or their resources that they looted. So we need to not entertain this as citizens. We need to unite ourselves and not get pulled into a psychological warfare that is happening in Juba. One thing that I feel very good about is South Sudanese themselves do not have a problem with each other. If you look at our country right now, we have 10 states and 3 administrative areas. Each of our states has its own issues, mostly just communal violence between those in the states. Nobody is leaving Lake State to go attack Nuer in their area. I have yet to see somebody from Tunj or Warap leave and come all the way and attack somebody. Yes, there might be few conflicts between those in Warap and those in Mayom County. But those are cattle raiding that's happening, and that's out of poverty and survival for the necessary that you need as a human. If those was eliminated, many of the citizens will not be able to go and attack each other. And the only conflict that we normally see is what's happening between the Malay and the neighbor counties. Other than that, South Sudanese citizens are pretty peaceful in their areas, and they're doing the best they can to survive. Another thing that I would like to mention is what has happened in Nasser. What can we learn from this? What can we take away from this as citizens, and for us to remain far from these personal disputes between the SSPDF and the oppositions in our areas? One thing that I know that President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar and many leaders have in common is that they're very good at betraying those that are loyal to them, those that have fought for them. For example, if you look at the SSPDF and the relationship that President have with them, President Salva Kiir has betrayed many of the military personnel that fought for him, such as General Paul Malone. He's now out of the country, driven out, and in exile. The same thing with former National Security Director Akokur. Fought for many years to protect Kiir, and where is he now? He's in prison. So Kiir and Riek has tendency to betray their own comrades. Dr. Machar himself has driven out those that were loyal to him. The same with such as names as Peter Gadet, also CDR Kwangchor Anle, and many of even Chayon Manyang, and many that I have not mentioned. Dr. Machar betrayed all of these people and abandoned them. So we do not have a national army. And these leaders, all they want is to remain in power. So as citizens, we really need to stay away from these dispute between the leaders, because this is between them, not all of us. We do not have many of the issues that they're pointing out. They're the one using us to fight each other and to kill each other. So, my fellow citizens in South Sudan, please understand that, or differentiate what's personally coming to you and what is between the leaders and themselves. I myself, I do not congratulate any of them that get appointed, because citizens do not get an opportunity to be in a process with the elections or electing anybody in their constituencies. So why should I congratulate somebody that is handpicked by a leader, has no relationship with the locals, has no relationship or has an agenda to empower the state that I belong to? This is something that we all have to understand and differentiate what's coming to you personally in your own state and what is in Juba to enrich or to further keep those corrupt leaders in power. So let's work together and unite, have one voice as citizens, so that we can be able to drive out all these corrupt dictators in our country.